During deep sleep, your brain clears the metabolic waste that accumulates all day, but only if a specific chain of habits earlier that morning set the stage for it. Researchers now know which 6 habits reliably trigger that chain in adults over 70. Scientists can now calculate your brain's biological age from MRI scans, and it does not always match your birth certificate. Research published through 2025 shows that specific daily habits, most of them unglamorous and free, are consistently associated with brains that look years younger than expected under imaging. 6 of those habits map almost entirely onto the morning hours. If you recognize yourself in this list, the news is better than you think. Start with the one that surprises people most. Physical movement first thing in the morning is not just good for your heart. It is one of the most consistently researched habits associated with slower brain aging in adults over 70. Here is why. Your hippocampus, the brain region central to memory and navigation, shrinks roughly 1 to 2% every year in older adults without dementia. That loss is measurable on a standard MRI. But research from the Erickson Lab at the University of Pittsburgh found that a 12-month walking program, just 3 days per week, was associated with hippocampal volume increases of roughly 2% on both sides, effectively reversing about a year to 2 years of expected tissue loss. A 2025 study in the Journal of Sport and Health Science replicated the principle. A guideline-based aerobic program made brains look measurably younger after 12 months of training. You do not need a gym. You need consistency. The question worth sitting with is this: how much of your morning is already doing this work without you realizing it? The second habit is one you do the night before, but its effect shows up every morning. Consistent quality sleep is among the strongest lifestyle signals associated with brain age in MRI studies. Research from the Karolinska Institute, published in October 2025, found a clear link between unhealthy sleep patterns and accelerated brain aging, using MRI scans analyzed by machine learning. A separate study in neurology tracked middle-aged adults and found that people who struggled to fall or stay asleep, especially for more than 5 years, showed measurable neuroimaging markers of faster brain aging years later. The glymphatic system, the brain's waste clearance network, operates almost exclusively during deep sleep, flushing out metabolic byproducts that accumulate during waking hours. Waking at roughly the same time every morning, which anchors your circadian rhythm, is one of the most direct levers you have on that clearance cycle. If you wake at a consistent hour, even on weekends, your brain is already running a process most people skip entirely. But the next habit may be the one fewest people connect to brain aging at all. Most people eat carbohydrates for breakfast and call it done. But protein intake in older adults is directly associated with memory function and cognitive protection in peer-reviewed literature. A 2024 review in Frontiers in Nutrition found that adequate protein in older adults positively associates with memory function, and that protein malnutrition is a potential risk factor for premature cognitive decline. Here is the mechanism that matters. Amino acids from dietary protein are the raw material for neurotransmitters, including dopamine, serotonin, and acetylcholine, the signaling molecule most critical for attention and memory encoding. After 70, the body's ability to synthesize and use protein efficiently declines, a process researchers call anabolic resistance, which means you need more protein per meal, not less, to drive the same neurochemical output as you did at 50. The recommended target for older adults is 25 to 40 grams of high-quality protein per meal to overcome this threshold. Eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, or smoked salmon at breakfast are not incidental choices. They are functional inputs for a brain that is actively building its next memory. which brings us to what you put on or alongside that protein. If you include a food rich in omega-3 fatty acids most mornings, ground flaxseed on your yogurt, walnuts alongside your eggs, or fatty fish like smoked salmon, you are doing something the research describes in structural terms. A Loma Linda University study of cognitively normal older adults with a mean age of 76 found that EPA and DHA blood levels were significantly correlated with total white matter volume in the brain. White matter is the cabling that connects brain regions to each other. As it degrades, processing speed and memory retrieval slow. The same study found that higher omega-3 levels were associated with better delayed recall and faster processing speed on standardized cognitive tests. An 8-year longitudinal cohort study published in early 2026 found that consistent omega-3 supplement use was significantly associated with better maintenance of cognitive test scores over time in older adults. The picture that keeps emerging across independent research groups is consistent. The structural integrity of your brain tissue tracks with what you routinely eat, and the morning meal, taken first after an overnight fast, is when that nutrient delivery may matter most. But the habit in Section 5 is the one most people have already written off for themselves. This one tends to catch people off guard. Making a brief social contact in the morning, a phone call, a text exchange, a few minutes with a neighbor, is not merely pleasant. It is neurobiologically active. A 2025 meta-analysis of 7 studies involving more than 20,000 adults over 50, published in Psychological Medicine, found that older adults who rarely or never felt lonely performed significantly better on cognitive tests than those who were most isolated. A separate 2024 study in Alzheimer's and dementia tracked 7,299 adults aged 60 and older, and found that persistent loneliness or social isolation over at least 3 years was associated with faster cognitive decline and higher risk of cognitive impairment. Here is the mechanism. Chronic social isolation elevates cortisol, and sustained cortisol exposure has been linked to dendritic retraction in the prefrontal cortex. Social interaction reverses that. It triggers release of oxytocin and dopamine, lowers cortisol, and supports the dendritic branching that maintains interregional brain connectivity. A morning habit as simple as a 5-minute call is not small talk. For a brain over 70, it is structural maintenance. What comes next may be the most underestimated habit of all. The 6th habit is deliberate mental engagement in the morning hours, before routine tasks consume the day. This does not mean crossword puzzles passively repeated. It means genuine novelty, learning a few words in a different language, reading something intellectually demanding, working a logic problem you have not seen before, or even playing a speed-based cognitive training game. Research matters here. A McGill University study published in JMIR Serious Games found that a 10-week digital cognitive program with speed-based brain games reversed cholinergic brain function in 92 older adults by nearly a decade, the first time any intervention, drug or non-drug, had demonstrated that in humans, according to the study's senior author. A large randomized clinical trial published in JAMA found that structured multi-domain programs, including cognitive challenge, improved cognitive function in older adults over 2 years. The morning window is physiologically strategic. Cortisol peaks naturally within 30 to 45 minutes of waking, which elevates alertness and focus. That is your brain's sharpest daily window. Filling it with something genuinely new is not self-improvement theater. It is working with your biology rather than against it. Here is the finding that ties everything together, and it is the most important number in this video. A December 2025 study using machine learning MRI analysis found that people with multiple healthy lifestyle factors had brains up to 8 years younger than expected, even among those living with chronic pain. The key word is multiple. Each habit alone moves the needle, but the evidence consistently shows that the more healthy behaviors a person stacks, the younger and more resilient their brain appears under imaging. These 6 habits converge on the same biological targets: hippocampal volume, white matter integrity, lymphatic clearance, dendritic connectivity, and cholinergic function. None of them require a prescription. None of them are exotic. They require only that morning time be treated as something worth protecting. If you already do most of these, your brain is working with you, not against you, in ways that an MRI would confirm. The question for the comments is simple. Which of these 6 do you already do, and which one do you want to add first? If this kind of evidence-led content is useful to you, subscribing ensures you see the next video the day it goes up.